Hello everybody, I just want to do a quick video on rebuilding soil, some nitrogen fixers, ground cover, and have a whole patch of thistle here that I'm trying to save from the grass. What we have here is just my side yard, and if you can't tell, there used to be a road that went, it was just gravel, kind of went that way. It actually follows this path. It goes out, let's see, it goes out, a little bit further over. So if you see, it kind of swooped around here and went up to the mailbox there. So when I started letting everything grow, I did choose some pathways, and I sheet mulched them, and the rest of them I've just mowed up, or mowed down. And I just finished widening them, so they're about just over two of my lawnmower widths. But I was out here, and even though I was wearing fancy clothes and not work clothes, I came out just to kind of see if there were any grasses and stuff that I could pull, and then came across here, and I was thinking about this thistle, and I was thinking about violet, and I was thinking about these strawberries, and how nature is basically just trying to rebuild this soil. It's mostly rock underneath, just a patch of poor grass. So I started pulling grasses. I was using the hand sickle, and I started dumping some here. I was just chopping and dropping the grasses, and then I started, and mostly what I look for is maple trees and things like that, but then I was looking at these thistle, and I had heard before that thistle is nature's way of telling humans that you guys have messed up this ground and this soil enough, you just stay out. That's why it's really prickly, that's why it hurts, and they still end up having pretty flowers when they bloom, but yeah, you don't want to brush up against them. It's kind of interesting that these are pretty soft compared to some of the other ones that I had last year. But if you look, there's another tree right, let's see if you can see, that's right here, some sort of something. And it just violets throughout. And it's all stuff that can live in mostly rocky soils. So, what I don't want, well, I want that function. That's what the plant's job is to do. So, just grab up these grasses. A lot of it end up being there, but just drop it down on the soil. I could mow over this. I have a mulching lawnmower, so just mulch all that up and break it down, and that'll help put a new layer of soil on here. And if you keep going back, there's more thistle. There's thistle all over here. So whenever I'm walking around, I can just come through and pull some of this stuff up. And that's basically what I'm trying to do with this no-mow and going off of permaculture principles. Doesn't mean that you sheet mulch everything and then you plant into it 6 months to a year later. It is about, having food, growing your own food and living sustainably. But sometimes the best thing to do is just to let nature do what it wants. And that was the original beginning thought or idea, to just let things grow. This area has been trampled down because I've been taking lots of mulberries from this tree. And when we get another windstorm, this branch will break, and I'll put it for shelter. Maybe I'll put it for shelter under here for the animals, or I'll just pick another tree. Would you look at that? I don't think, I haven't noticed these. These are orchids, I suppose. Oh, look at that. I actually planted these. These were one of the first things I planted. Yeah, you can see lilies. Look at that. They survived. Yeah, if something wants to survive, it will. Yeah, I planted all three of these. That's awesome. Now what I gotta do is cut down this grass either by pulling it, which sometimes is quicker and easier, but you see it just breaks, or I'll grab a handful and I'll just cut it right there. Yeah, that's awesome. Now it's starting to sprinkle now, but I'm going to try and clean this area up as much as possible. So if you can see the flowers, this is the area where they're planted. Try and get this whole rectangle area cleared up. That'll be awesome, just to kind of showcase different things that are growing, and those are pretty. So there you go. That's a little bit about soil building. Let nature do what it needs to. Part of this whole process, you can see another tree that I uncovered this morning. Part of this process is to make the land look like it's being maintained. So these really long grasses, which I'll chop down and then will grow again in the fall, just to get their second run at life. But it just makes the whole area look like it's being maintained, and things like that. And every time I see a plant that I want to keep, I just put a flag next to it. I've put down 560 flags now. That's, if I did every strawberry patch, I'd go through, thousands. But the violets, I haven't really marked too many of those, but we've cut around them, so it's pretty obvious. But anyways, I better get to cleaning up that area there before it starts to downpour. And there's my happy mullein. There's another mullein in its first year right there, right in front of that sign. That'll be the first year for it, and then next year it'll be just as big as that second one. And it's actually starting to flower. I'll show you this, and then I gotta get out of here. Old mullein. So it's about 5'5". See how you can see the flies that are above it? There's all sorts of flies buzzing around it. There's a little bug. A beautiful strawberry patch. Hello everyone. I'm going to attempt to match a couple of older videos explaining the mulching behind me. So I'm going to have this little intro video. I'll stop it, hopefully when I put the editing together, put those two other videos after it, and then I'll show you, I'm going to stop the recording now, and then I'll just record what I'm actually doing now today. So it's all about mulching, sheep mulching at this other little property, and I'll show you some of the stuff that I actually planted. Alright, so what we've got here is, I'm going to start sheep mulching this. This is by the driveway. This is the garage. I'm going to sheet mulch, kind of square it off about here, and I'll completely cover that in wood chips because it's a smaller area. And then I still have plenty of boxes left, and I might throw a couple more loads of wood chips over here. I put enough just to keep everything down, but you can see by all the exposed cardboard it needs to be a lot deeper, and it'd be nice to square this edge off. And I'll probably, I think I'm done sheet mulching, at least as far away, at least here. So all of these very ends of the cardboard, I'll be folding them in or underneath. That way it's squared off. And that's where we'll leave it, and that's right to about the edge of the plastic there, at least for there, because it goes along here, then it goes along there. And then my marker for is this little stump that's still here, so everything passed back from this has the plastic on it. That's just as a general rule. So if I plant anything in here, which will be mostly berry bushes and things like that, it'll just be in this way. And that way, it'll have a walk path. You'll still be able to walk through and all that. And I've already got a volunteer rhubarb, so that's nice. And of course some sort of vining stuff. But But yeah, I'm going to stop. That's as far as I'm going to sheet mulch there. I have other plans for this. Maybe a tiny house here right next to the garage. There'll be a water spout there for rain barrel catchment. And then we'll see how much I feel like getting done. I might go over here and start spreading wood chips and some cardboard too down over by that tree. It's just a waste of time to have that grass growing there because it's very little grass grows there. And when I planted in here yesterday, I don't remember all the plants, of course. But in these two paths, these two sheet mulched areas, of the pine trees, 3 in each. And then I put comfrey roots in the corners. There's a total of 15 in between the two beds, so 8 in one and 7 in the other. Hopefully, these are walking onions. Took me a couple of extra days to get them planted, but there's 8 there. So we'll see if the soil was awesome underneath, even though I just sheet mulched this, a couple months ago. So I put that in there. I think this is some sort of guava. I don't really. It was something I probably shouldn't have planted. I don't think it's for my zone, but it was cheap, so we'll see what they grow up to be. And I had 10 strawberry shoots. So I put some there. And let me try and remember where I put the other one. Well, I guess I'll find out. All this stuff will probably grow up, so we'll find it when it pops up. And then here are, I'll have to look at my records, I don't remember. I bought all this stuff off of Amazon. I'm sure there's some sort of berry plant. It sounded like a good idea at the time, I guess. So anyways, so I bought all those. I got those planted. A whole bunch of comfrey roots. Here's some more strawberries. You can see they're amazingly resilient, but we'll see if they all grow. And then I threw red, or the crimson clover seeds all throughout the beds and in the center here. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, the clover of course have to end up making it down to ground level, so maybe by the fall some will be sprouting and all that, but not too big of a deal when you get trilling. Alright, this area is done. Basically used the metal rake to just pull as much as I could and push it over, and then when I got to about here I just started grabbing buckets. And so this area, those will be blacked out. This is one of the more annoying places to have to mow. And I think I'm going to do the opposite do the same thing on the opposite side. Because I want to change the shape of this, this whole area. So you see the curve. I want to make that more severe. So I think right here, it's not super tall, what, 2 feet, something like that. I'm going to pull a lot of it just to bring it around to right here. And I'll do the same, I'll just bring it down, kind of widen this. That way there's an actual pathway. Because once I start mulching here, then it kind of spreads out around there for the tree. That edge will be a green walking path between this edge, and then here. And then this will be green too. So there might end up being another island over here. But it's quick work just to kind of rake this stuff down with that little guy there. It's quick just to rake that stuff. Alright, this is about what I envisioned. I brought this area out quite a bit, and then that area. They're pretty wide. But just like everything, it's a rough draft, but it kind of gives me an idea that if I have a bed that goes around here, if I can get it closer to here, you see where the grass, where I cut it, there's a different pattern to it. That'll kind of be the edge of the sheet mulching. It could go right around here. And this right here could just be a separate guild in itself. I could have a couple of fruit trees just in there. Could make it pretty big, because if it ties into here, go all the way here. And the pathways, I do want them, I guess I don't want them very severe. But it'd be nice to have some trees right here. So as somebody's walking toward us, obviously they'll block them, and then when they're walking this way, they'll be blocked. There'll be a whole bed right here. So I went around and made sure that each of the edges were about 12 inches. Oh, get down here. That's about 12 inches. And what I've seen from other areas of this pile, that 12 inches, no other grasses or anything have come through, at least in an area that's been mowed. So obviously the closer the blades of grass and whatever plants are under there, the closer they are to the sun. They can sense it because they're plants, and they just poke through. So this area, even right here, is a lot thinner. The place that I just did, maybe 6 to 8 inches, but it has the sheet mulch there. So, and there's something about, from what I've seen, especially in those other two spots where the pine trees are, that wherever there's the wood mulch on top of the cardboard, that cardboard just disintegrates really quickly, where the stuff that's exposed doesn't. And here's another spot where you can see this creeping, this along this edge right here is all just wood chips. So where this creeping Charlie's coming in, it's only 3-4 inches, and then the rest of it doesn't have any weeds coming up. The only ones that are coming up are in the corner, and I don't think those were cut down before. And it might actually, I don't know if it's poison ivy or not, but anyways, that's not too big of a deal. But in the whole of it, on this whole area, except for that very edge, this whole area here is just wood chips. So that's what we'll go with. At least if anything does break through, it'll be very minimal. It will do the trick of protecting the soil and rebuilding it. The wood chips will break down, the grass will die, most of it will die and break down, bugs will move in, then I'll be able to just move aside the wood chips and plant into it. There'll be a big fall planting, and I'm sure I'll end up planting more throughout the summer because I can't stop buying plants. So another thing I did is I went to each edge and I pushed wood chips to the edge so it doesn't overgrow like it was, just to make that a definite edge. And I did that all the way along. So really, well, other than our friendly mullein, its first year of life, I definitely want that to stick around because those are pretty awesome to look at. So this center bit, I almost need to take some of these wood chips out, but over time, I mean, as the months go by, I might just keep spreading it out just in this area, just to replace what's breaking down. That way it's a flat surface, and I don't know if I'll end up having some sort of pathway through there, or how I'll do that. Something with stones, just a stone here, stone there. I don't know, more to come on that, but it's too wide just to plant in because I can't access anything in it. But maybe they'll just have bigger trees in the center, who knows. But it's good to make all this progress, widen all this out, start working on pathways on the other side, and I got this area blanked out, and it was about an hour of work. Then of course yesterday I'd gotten all those plants planted over there, 15 comfrey and a couple weird plants I don't remember the name of, but it'll be delicious when I eat them. And the pine trees are still alive and doing all right. And that soil is pretty rocky and icky, so I'm gonna go break for lunch, and then maybe tomorrow I'll come back and, well, I think before I leave I'll flip those edges up like I said. Here we are 3 weeks later. I just wanted to have a time lapse in this video to see if anything had come up. Just kind of show how well the sheet mulching works, and then to see how these plants on the right have done. So you can see mowed around is fairly simple. Some of the stuff, and you can just kind of pull by hand if you really want to, but it's not that big of a deal, but it's a relatively clean edge. And then for these, I used that mulching mower that has a closed discharge chute. And you can see a lot of the clovers coming up. And the strawberries I got right here. So obviously, wherever it's closest, wherever the seed can actually get to the dirt, that's where they'll pop up. That's why there's none here. But around here it's a lot easier. That's fine, just let it grow. And then here's that, I guess, pineapple guava that's doing well. Of course, my pine trees are okay. There's another one of these. I'm pretty sure they're pineapple guava. And the onions are literally picking up sticks as they grow, so that's pretty good. Some of these other dandelion-ish plants that are popping up. Oh, I didn't mean to rip it both by the root, but there's another one I just ripped the leaves off of. I don't mind it being there, so not a big deal. In this plot, I do care a little bit more about the appearance of it. That's why I want cleaner edges and less weeds and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of cleanup that I got to do here. And the clover's really doing well here. There's another strawberry right in there. Believe I really should have marked what these were, but here's another bush, some sort of fruit or berry bush. Might be the same thing, I'm not sure. That is grass. I just broke the roots, so it'll be back. And then in here, I had planted something. It would have been another one of these. I guess that one did not survive. Still a chance that it might come up from the roots at a different spot instead of this stem. The original stem will come up with a different shoot. Pine tree's still alright. It'll still be months before the comfrey comes up. It'll really look a lot different here. And then, you can see right down there, so I got that little guy. So to really, get it more sun, this clover is so loosely packed with this wood chips. Kind of just bend it away. I think that's probably the same with this. Not that it's entirely bad, but we want more sunlight getting to the plant that we really want to grow, so I can put more energy in the roots. And all this helps, build the soil microbiology, attract more bacteria, and make more energy available for the plant itself. But if we can, just let it get a little bit more sun than the rest of it. Another pine tree. I wanted to say I planted another thing of onions, but I don't know. It's only been 3 weeks, so we'll see what else pops up. Just nice to see that just about everything that I planted is coming up, and this clover is really taking off. And so that's it. 3 weeks later, and I'll stop it here, and I gotta grab a whole bunch of mulch from that big pile at the end to bring over to my house. I got a couple other things I want to possibly sheet mulch over there, a couple of flower beds that I wanted to reseed with some other flower seeds, and just to help them from getting burned out by the sun, I'll spread the seeds and then mulch over it, just a light coating. Nothing too serious, but here, I'll let you go, and I'll hopefully edit this and post it today. It's the 9th, so I think it's the 9th. 9th or 10th. We'll see how well that works out. All right, thanks.